Welcome back to You Can Do It. This is a video on the VW T5 T6. If your rear interior lights on the tailgate here aren't working, this might help a lot of you out there to get that solved. Taking this out of a bigger video which I'm doing, which is on this rear latch here, which is your soft close latch, which should automatically come in, and it's not doing it on here. Anyway, I've been online looking at some various issues about that, and this came up, and I just thought, you know what, there was a lot of people saying I've got problems with my rear lights, and I thought, you know what, I'll show you how you can test everything and trace it. Okay, so let's assume that these lights are not working. Your rear lights are working. Now, if you can look right at the front there, you've got the dashboard, you have your lights. So if I turn the lights, let me go to the front. Yeah. See, look, if I unlock it, and you see those lights have come on. If I lock it, then they go off. So it's working at the front there, right? But if I do the same at the back here, and the back door's open, look, there's nothing going on here at all, right? And it should, with the tailgate open like that, they should be on. So there's a lot of people online I've seen with that problem. So let's quickly sort that out. Now, from what I've learned, we just need to get this out like that, right? Now, of course, it could be the bulb. Chances of both of them going at the same time is very remote. Okay, so we've got the bulb there. Now, what I've learned here is you've got a permanent positive feed while the lights are on. So obviously, there's a permanent positive to that, and the switch for these lights on the tailgate is an earth. Okay, so what we can do, I've got a little multimeter here, which what we'll do, the first thing is we'll check the bulb. So for those that you don't know, you can multimeter down there to the little sound thing. Then what that means generally is about continuity. So if I push there, you get that noise. All right, so the way you test the bulb is you put that on one side of the bulb, that on the other. There, can you hear it? So it's going, so that I know that bulb's working. Okay, so the next thing to do is test to see whether I've got 12 volts between there. It could be this earth switch which is the problem, right? And a lot of that is linked to the latch on the back door. So I just need to see, have I got 12 volts there? So I can then turn my voltmeter here to 20 volts, 20 volt DC. Okay, so if I put the positive on that end, okay, obviously it's normally that end, but just you want to check both ends just to be case. Okay, we know the bulb's okay. I put that there, and then I find an earth on the back door, which I'm doing here. Look, I need to. Now the thing is you need to make sure your lights haven't turned themselves off. So turn the vehicle lights, lock the vehicle, turn the vehicle off, and you should have 12 volts there. So if I do that, yeah, and on my voltmeter I've got 12 volts. My voltmeter said 12 volts when I measured the voltage from there, and then I just scratched it a little bit there onto the back and got an earth feed. Okay, so now what we need to do, now this is why it's part of a bigger project. You see, a lot of the problems here in this micro switch, in this rear tailgate. Test this micro switch, you've got to test obviously not only the switch, but if there's a problem here. So what I've done, look, is I've got some little pins and I've put them in there. I've got one more here. It's like pins in there, okay? Now the center one, which is the brown cable, is the earth. So you want to check before you start worrying about that switch, you just check that earth is actually running. And then these two are switches that will switch on. One of them I think switches on the rear lights, and from that it should also switch that baby on. I'm not, so at part of this visual project I'm testing that, but anyway, this will help you. So theoretically, if I take a line from here across to the brown, if that earth is working, then that light here should come on when I unlock and lock the car, so they're sort of as if the tailgate light is on. Because obviously the tailgate lights go off if the tailgate's been open for so long. So you just need to remember to unlock and lock the car and unlock it again. Okay, so I'm going to get a cable from there, and we're going to try and touch that centre pin there. All right. Test wire then. I've wrapped that round the centre one. It's just a little tester that I've I had to make something up, and then and that's because that's the positive. I know it's the positive cable, so it's going to be in the middle there. So this is just going to act as an earth. Okay, so if I put that on there now, it probably won't work because the door's been open for a bit. Oh, yeah, it's working now. Yeah. Yeah, look. So that's on. Okay, so I immediately now know, obviously, that my light bulb's all right. So I can close that, put that back in. Obviously, it's not on, and my test cable's fallen out. But that tells me automatically that I know that that earth there is working. That earth works. So then, if I bridge these two, which will be the outside white one and that center earth. Now I think the light should come on. Got a paper clip here. I'm putting a paper clip across those two there. It shorts that out, and look, lo and behold, my light's on. That one's on, but that one's not on now. It could be the bulb, or it might even be the other white one. So let me put the other white one on. All right, I've put all three in. Okay, so let's just try and bridge all of them. That works. But that one doesn't. So what I need to do now is we'll go back and check that bulb. Right, so we just put a little screwdriver down there, pop that out, and I do believe, yeah, that one's an LED. We can now do. So I'm going to test that. I've got, first of all, I'll do a continuity to check the bulb works, and then I'll do a, from there up to my little spot to see if I've got an earth. So let me do that. 10 minutes later, as the video says. Yeah, so I've put a spare one, a new one of those in, and that actually, I think, is now going to work. The bulb was stuffed. Put them down. I need to order some new LEDs for that. Okay, so they're still not working, obviously, because the switch. But what we've ascertained that the center one is the earth, and this one here is the control for the lights. So I put that pin in the center one, and I've got a little bit of just a bit of cable there. Look, if I do that, that light's on, and that light's on. Okay, so it's a combination of that light bulb had gone. So we now know, because remember we're testing this micro switch, so we now know that that all works. So what we can actually do is try and go from the center here to the other side. So it's the left side as that's off, and see what that does. So let me plug that in and we'll see. I'm not too sure. I've bridged those, and the one thing that did come on was the lights right by the mirror. So I do know actually that it does work. But let's see. So now what we know, we do know that this is all working here, which is quite good. So now what we can do, look, and for those to get to that, I've got to plug that in that micro switch. So when I was doing there, you see, look, you can see the little clip for the micro switches here. So the right hand one, the right hand terminal does the rear interior lights at the back here, and the center one is at earth, and the left hand white gate, we're not 200% sure at the moment. Okay, so we've had this unplugged, so the car actually thinks that the door's closed. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is plug that into the micro switch, and we'll see if the rear lights come on, these ones here, when we open the boot, or not. And if they don't, then we know that that micro switch is playing up. Okay, look, as soon as I plug that in, both my lights are back on. And they weren't doing that before. So I've cleaned those terminals up, so maybe there was something going on there. And the door is not, the latch thinks that it's not locked. So if I close that, so look, the lights have gone off. So I've closed that latch there, and the lights have gone off. So it obviously thinks that it's that micro switch is working to that point. Now, of course, it's got to do another stage, which presumably is that other wire. So let's just try. There we are. That's the next stage, and I think it's at that stage that it's supposed to get this to work, and it's not. Potentially that micro switch is only half working. Let me just try and close the door. Okay guys, we've had a bit of a breakthrough here. I'm really quite excited about this. We've got the rear lights working. Now this one, we didn't really know what we do, but there's the earth obviously in the center, and then we've got the cable here on the white one on the left. Now when I short those across, nothing happens other than I get a ticking. I can hear a relay down here. So I think that's the relay that is ticking for here. So that's just told me now how I can check the micro switch. So I hope you are watching this video, because it's going to save you an awful lot. I've spent the whole day on this, on my time. So if this video ends up being half an hour long, it's the best half an hour you're going to spend, just to save yourself so much time. So I now know that if I short those two out, that relay clicks. So now what I can do is I can put that back in the switch, and I can click this. I can have that closed, and I can listen to here. I get a click. Now I might actually, because that's going to make a thump when I do it, so I'm not going to hear it. So we actually have to take that off. Okay, so to take that off, we've got the cable out. We just need to pop that off there. It's just like you just need to put a screwdriver in there, and you pop that off, and then I'll undo my there's two bolts out the back there, as you know. We'll just take that back off. Okay, so let me do that. All right, so I've got the lock off now. Look, and if you look out the back there, down there, can you see? There's the little, that tab there is your switch, right? And as you close this, when it goes to the first clip here, let me just click that there, first one. Look, it's gone around it, but it hasn't actually touched it, which is why that's obviously a safety one. And then if you do the second one like that, that's pushed it even more. So that's now half closed, and then it can go full closed like that. See, it's full closed. And that's what normally happens when you pull your thing there. So I can now move that switch by hand with a screwdriver, just pushing it down there, moving that switch up and down. And if I've had that plugged in, I should be able to hit, because I won't be able, if I had that on the back of the van, when that clicks, it makes a right noise. I'll never hear the relay. So I can now have that plugged into that socket. So I can replicate all that, look, by putting a screwdriver in there and moving that there. Can you see? I can move that along there, and we'll just watch what happens. Okay, that's connected. Lights are on because it thinks the door's open. So if I go one clip there, look, lights have gone out. So that's telling me that the vehicle thinks the door's at least semi-closed. And I go one more, and I didn't hear a click from there. I didn't hear one, but that might have been the noise from here. So now that that's closed, let me open it again. That's all right. All right, so that's open. So now what I'm going to do is move my screwdriver up there, and I'll see if I can hear the click. I'll hear if I can hear the click. I've got that hanging down there, and I've got a screwdriver in there, and I lift that lever. I turn the lights off, and I can hear the clicking in the back there. That pretty much assures me that this micro switch is indeed working, which is rather sad because this thing still doesn't seem to be working. So I think if you click that and everything works fine, you should hear that motor start pulling in. So the challenge continues. I hope this video has been useful. This video is great for people who've not having a problem with these lights here and they want to just check that micro switch is working. So that's a short video to save you an awful lot of time, how you can see whether that micro switch is working. Does it turn those lights off? And do you hear a click inside there? And if you do, that means that is working. And of course, before that, you've checked the earth in the middle there and the two outer ones, and then you know that this whole setup is working fine. Hope you liked the video. Just remember, you can always do it, and see you on the next video.